Good evening, everybody. I am Dina, and joining me today for our Love is Blind Season 7 recap is my very own, the family's Mama Rix. Mom, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be back.
Happy to have you back. Now, we haven't recapped since the first set of episodes, but since we're so late to the game here, we're going to go straight into the reunion because there's enough to talk about there to last probably about 75 of these episodes. So let's get right into it. I thought that the introductions were very cute, how they had everybody walking in with their little shadows, and you immediately knew. I mean, you could have just ended it right after the intros because we knew that Taylor and Garrett and Ashley and Taylor and Garrett and Ashley and Tyler were still together immediately. Did you pick up on that? Were you surprised?
We did know that. And the rest was downhill from there.
Yes, it absolutely was. All right, so we're just going to go couple by couple or former couple by former couple. So let's start with the easiest of the bunch, everybody's favorite, Taylor and Garrett. What did you think about Garrett's new look?
Not a fan, gotta be honest. I didn't like the new look.
Why not?
He looked like a throwback from the 70s.
Okay, you're not liking the high fashion Garrett, the wifey glow up?
No, I thought he looked fine before, to be honest. I know maybe she didn't think so, but I thought he looked fine.
Well, it sounds like he was embracing getting more into his fashion side and fashion hobby that he really didn't focus on before, because now Taylor's pretty high fashion. So he's just embracing it and going with it.
Yeah, Taylor is very classy and she does dress beautifully. I don't know. I think we need a little makeover again for Garrett.
I have to say, I know that some of them get their outfits provided for them and hire hair and makeup, but the least Netflix could do is get them some stylists for the reunion, if not the show itself. Netflix is making enough money. They could spring a couple of extra bucks, maybe for some shampoo for Vanessa for this reunion. I don't know what was going on with her hair, or for the cast looks. They all looked fabulous, but why should they have to DIY it? They're making them big money here at Netflix.
Well, so I did see on Instagram, Taylor said that she does provide her own wardrobe. That it's not provided by Netflix.
Yeah, a lot of them do. A lot of them do. I think most of them do, actually. But I'm just saying, Netflix could help out, give them a budget for it. I'm not saying they need it. Just they're making billions of dollars off this franchise. They could do a little bit.
And I'm sure Netflix could have a little hint and get some sponsors in the fashion industry.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so other than their style, what did you think of them still being together? Any thoughts about them as a couple?
I was surprised to hear that they're not moving to San Diego.
Yeah, it seems like they do a lot of bi-coastal travel, and they've traveled a lot in general this year. But Garrett is very close with his family, and it did seem upsetting to him, the idea of having to relocate all the way across the country. So I think it's good for them, and who knows, maybe her parents will move over to the DC area now.
That would be a big change from San Diego.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm a fan of San Diego, not a DC, so.
I know, you love the warm weather.
Yes.
So not a terrible lot to say about Taylor and Garrett. They are safe. They are solid. Taylor is actually, I think it's safe enough to announce it now. Taylor is going to be doing a volunteer with me day for the podcast. She is going to go to a shelter local to her and volunteer, probably with Garrett. We'll see if he's able to participate too, and show off some of the dogs and cats available for adoption. So that's very exciting. That's
Thank you, Taylor. News. That's very nice that you're doing that.
Very appreciative of the support, helping get the word out about rescue and shelter dogs and cats and all the other animals up for adoption.
We both have rescues, so it's a good cause. Now,
on to the more controversial couple of the two, Mom, I know you're not going to hold back, so let's talk about Ashley and Tyler. Initial thoughts.
Wow. Well, Tyler should have gotten all his stuff together before he came onto the show, because it's a hot mess. That's what it is.
It is. Now, if for some reason you're living under a rock, you did not see everything come up on social media, maybe missed the backstory of what was going on in Ashley and Tyler's argument, he has 3 children. Now, there's a lot of back and forth depending on whose version you believe. The mother of the children and her family and several other people in Tyler's life have come out and said that he was an active participant in these children's lives. Until before going to film. He was a sperm donor for the first child, and then the other children were conceived naturally. And now he is claiming that he's a sperm donor and that he didn't have a relationship with the children, and he had stepped up temporarily as more of an uncle figure. I've watched a lot of the videos. I'm going to say this is all alleged. I'm not trying to get sued by anybody. But from what I've seen, if you don't follow Storytime with Ricky, that's 2 Ks and 2 Is, Rikkii. She has had Bri on, who is the mother of the children. She has had her grandmother, the children's grandmother, on. She has had, I believe, one of Tyler's friends on. And then Ashley's dad has spoken up, has said that he didn't know about the situation until recently either. Now, all of that family is claiming that he owes back pay and child support, that his name is on the birth certificates. They have provided her the birth certificates. She has a lot of receipts and a lot of proof that he is spinning this into a very different narrative than it actually is, that he is not a sperm donor and he was an active father in their lives and still should be. I don't think this would have been as big of a deal. What really got me is, I don't know if you caught this, Mom. Ashley said that she wanted to have the conversation on camera about his kids because she didn't think she could be authentic and hide her facial expressions if they didn't talk about it. Now, I know she didn't know how the show was going to be edited and that we'd be missing a lot of context anyway from these other couples, but it shouldn't have been her decision. They're not her kids. He wanted to keep it private. We might have found out after the fact, but it wouldn't have been a big deal, and it would have been a lot easier to respect them saying they want to make it private. Now everybody's getting dragged into it. These kids are going to have proof on the internet that he didn't want to be involved, that they're basically pretending that they don't exist as a part of Tyler's life. So, Mom, give me your feedback.
My feedback is he needs to just, come clean and tell the truth and get everything straight for the kids' sake and also for Ashley's sake, because she has to live with this and she has to live with potentially 3 stepchildren now in their lives. And
I don't think she's you think she's a victim? I think she knows all
I don't
about it
think
and
she's
she's
a
covering.
victim. I just think that it would benefit both of them to straighten out the whole thing with the children's. It's one mother for the 3 kids, children's mother, and for their kids going forward, because they do want to have their own kids. So, and it would, benefit both of their relationships.
It's very messy, and I wouldn't comment on it except that they made it America's business and the world's business by bringing it up in the first place and then doubling down on the sperm donor narrative. And then, of course, we have Nick and Vanessa really not pressing them and getting any kind of solid answers and just letting it slide under the rug so that they could come hard at Nick, of all people. Of all the villains this season, they're going to go after Nick. Nick didn't do anything. We'll get to that in a minute. But Nick and Vanessa are very Jekyll and Hyde, depending on who they're talking to. They pick their favorites. I don't think they've seen an episode of the show in their lives, except maybe the pilot. They really are difficult to relate to because they so clearly side with certain cast members or attack certain cast members and don't hold certain people accountable. It is very painful to watch, especially when this dragged on for 90 minutes. What was the point? We
Yeah.
spent 20 minutes on Nick because he wrote 3 things on a list. Get over yourselves, guys.
Yeah. That was way too long. I was getting bored with the whole reunion show after that whole
It
Hannah and Nick
it
fight.
took me, I told you, it took me days to start to watch it, and then it took me 2 days to watch the entire thing. It was a struggle. I was not
It
a huge
was.
fan. The season in general was very tough. It was a big mess. It's hard when you like a decent amount of drama, but this was 99% drama, 1% love story.
Right. It was like a crossword puzzle at times, trying to figure out what is going on.
Yeah. Okay, now we had some audience members there that they wanted to check in with and catch up with. Let's start with what was probably your favorite of the check-ins, Bliss and Zach with the baby. They didn't bring her out, but they did show some pictures of Galileo. Do you remember Bliss and Zach from their season?
I do not. I don't
You
remember
do
Bliss
not.
and
Okay.
Zach.
So Zach also had an interesting love triangle. Obviously, Bliss was a part of it. He originally got engaged to Irina, and they went to Mexico together. Very clearly were not attracted to each other, were not compatible at all. They broke up in Mexico. He went and met Bliss and apologized and asked for a second chance, and then they ended up getting engaged and then catching up with the rest of the couples and getting married on their season. So also a not a bait and switch, but also a switch up mid-season. And now this is the first, I believe, the first US Love is Blind baby from an actual Love is Blind couple. Other Love is Blind cast members have had kids by now. Giannina has a son. Bartise has a son. Now Alexa and Brennan have a daughter. But this is the first official Love is Blind couple baby, Galileo. Do you like the name Galileo?
It's different, but there are a lot of different names that this generation is pulling out of a hat or something. I don't know where they're getting these names from, but that was cute to
Zach,
have them on the show with the baby.
yeah, Zach did have an explanation. It was something about wanting her to reach for the stars. I don't know. There was a whole explanation behind it on his Instagram. If you're interested, it's Zach Wojtowski. We'll save that for another time. And then another Love is Blind mommy, Jessica from season 1, and her husband, Ben, brought out their baby. So do you remember Jessica from her season? It was the very first season of the show.
Wow, I'd have to see her picture again. I was honestly, that reunion, it was painful to watch.
It
So,
was. So Jessica was in a bit of a love triangle with Barnett and
oh,
Amber,
that's right.
um,
Yes.
and then got engaged to Mark. There was a big age gap. Jessica was 34, Mark was 24. And Amber and Barnett got married.
And
Jessica and
they're
Mark
having a
did not.
baby.
They're having a baby too. That's
See that?
right. They're
Yes.
pregnant. Lots of Love is Blind babies going around.
That's great. I'm happy for them. They're a nice couple.
They are. And then, of course, we had our singles. Nancy and Marshall were there too, both really relocated to big cities. Nancy is now living in New York. Marshall is in LA, which supposedly was a big reason for the breakup between him and his fiance. He decided to move to LA and never really discussed it with his fiance, and so she ended things. Marshall, Marshall, Marshall. You know I love you, but what's up there? I would love you to come explain yourself. Not that you have to, but I'd like to hear your side of the story. We love you here at the Love Pod, but what's that about? What's going on there? Anyway, speaking of breakups, we're going to start with Marissa and Ramses. I know you love this one, Mom, because you've got Mama Bear Vanessa in the audience making her commentary known. You gotta love it. So talk to me about Marissa and Ramses.
Well, I'm on Team Vanessa. I would have said the same exact thing she did. And I probably could still say the same exact thing. But yeah, clearly that was a train wreck. with the two of them, and I really felt badly for her because she did put 1,000% into that relationship, and he kind of railroaded her at the end. Why come on the show if you didn't want to be getting married? That just didn't make any sense.
I
Wasn't
am
fair to
glad
her.
I'm glad he did it before the altar, that he didn't
Right.
get up there and say no. And I understand his reasoning that their energies are very different, but she had been like that from the beginning in the pods, and he kept reassuring her that they were great. He was a definite yes. And they had very different viewpoints on what seemed like some major life issues, birth control, the military. Those are the only two that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. But obviously, she was in the military. That was kind of an initial red flag. And then the whole debate about birth control. And he says it wasn't a big deal as it was made to be on camera. Okay, fine. We saw that with Amy and Jonny the season before. But they really didn't seem like a good match from the beginning. I liked Bowden better for her, but she had more friend vibes with him.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I
and
just thought that
surprisingly,
Ramsey, is that how you say his name? Ramses. He was way too judgmental about the military. I mean, anybody in our country that goes into the military, you should be proud that that person did that, or that if you were in the military yourself, she was proud of that. And
yeah,
that would have thrown up a red flag for me if I was with a person that was so very judgmental. And I really never understood why he is so not into the military of this country.
sure.
But she should have ran the other way as soon as
Well, in
he.
all fairness, we don't get to see their full conversations. We get very tiny snippets. They're in the pods 12, 16 hours a day having these conversations, and there's 30 singles. So we can only see tiny portions. So we don't know the full spectrum of the conversation, all the details behind why he feels the way he does and what their conversation was. But obviously, a very big sticking point if you're in the military and your partner is not supportive of the military. So, probably for the best that it didn't work out. She seems to be very happy in her new relationship. She just hard launched on Instagram.
I saw that.
And I don't know if you noticed, this was something a lot of fans picked up. There was a scene where Ramses stands up to hug her, I think after their breakup. Sometime they're in the apartment, and it looks like he has a thong on. His shirt kind of
Yes.
lifts up, and you see, do you remember that? Okay.
Yeah.
So I spoke with
like,
Ramses earlier today, and I said, you don't have to answer any other questions if you don't want. But I am dying to know, because so many fans have shared this. And this is, I sent this to him before the reunion because I knew he couldn't talk about anything else. I'm like, this is not a spoiler for anything. Can you tell me, were you wearing a thong? And I'm very sorry to report that that was just his mic pack, and you can see his red boxers right below the mic pack.
Oh, thank God.
So there's a burning question answered by the man himself. I will share the message with you guys on Instagram in my stories.
I feel a lot better now because I was kind of grossed out, actually.
It was not a thong. Sorry, not sorry, guys.
Oh,
I had
gosh.
to, I'll get the burning questions answered when it really matters. And then, did you hear Mama Vanessa's side commentary to Katie? She called out Hannah about how she made Katie miserable for a year. And then her face when Marissa said that she still got back together with Ramses a few times post breakup.
Yes.
Gotta love moms.
Gotta love the moms. Trying to figure
Mama
out
Bear
your
is always
daughters
out
is
to
not
protect
easy.
you. Okay.
Never easy figuring out what you girls are going to do next.
Oh, I'm sure Grandma and Grandpa felt the same way about you and your siblings.
No, they were too busy with the five of us. They didn't know what was happening.
So if you just had more, I could have slid under the radar. Is that what you're saying? My poor behavior would have just gone unnoticed. Darn it. Could have adopted a couple, Mom. Come on now.
No.
Okay.
You were one of a kind.
go to Hannah and Nick. My,
Wow.
oh my, oh my. This girl said she did a lot of work, inner and outer, but I'm only seeing the outer work. I did
Wow.
not see any sort of change. Call yourself direct all day long. There's a difference between direct and being a complete asshole, okay? And she, pardon my French mom, is an asshole. She's so mean. I don't care if this man went on for fame. I don't care if he went on to find love, to sell more houses. There's no need to talk to somebody like that. And
That was harsh. Hannah,
I
I'm
know,
sorry.
I know.
Hannah, she should be named Harsh Hannah.
That's a good one.
She was tough. She looks beautiful now. She looked beautiful before, but even better now. But you know, even as beautiful as you are, you have to work on that personality trait
I
going
know.
forward.
And I know so much of this cast. You've met a lot of the villains. I've met them, and they really aren't villains in the real world. It's just however their relationships played out on TV. But I am having a very hard time this season, both with Hannah and with Ashley and Tyler, separating and I haven't spoken to any of them personally, but separating the show version of them from what could possibly be what they're like in day-to-day life, because I don't see how you can talk down to somebody like that. Those words still came out of her mouth in the order they came out, right? How
Yes.
are they editing that to sound worse than it is? Or what could Nick have possibly said that they're saying that, their claims were that he was talking poorly about Hannah, he called her a grenade. How could he have been talking to her off camera or, to other people that she felt justified in talking to him that way? It seems like she talks to everyone that way. She talked to her brother that way. Her parents seem pretty used to it. Do you think that she has a facade for the cameras and she's different when they're off?
No, I think that's just not a good personality trait that she has, that she's so harsh and judgmental with people. And on the other hand, Nick isn't the right fit for her, or right now, probably for anybody. He's a little immature in my view.
Yeah.
I think he's a mama's boy. He should go on to that other
Yes.
show that they have on TLC. But
I forget
yeah,
the name of it.
I mean, now I heard he's moved out of his parents' basement. There,
Yes.
there's a good move in the right direction, but hopefully, hopefully that's helping him mature a little more positive.
Yeah,
But
I don't think him writing down that he wants to be famous on Love is Blind is a huge deal. Everybody acting all high and mighty like they did not want to come on this show to become famous. Please, okay? If you didn't want to be famous, there's a million other ways to find a person. Yeah, the dating apps suck, but there's matchmakers, there's singles groups on meetup.com, there's friends that you could ask. There's, I don't know, go grocery shopping and stick a pineapple in your cart or something, whatever that new thing is. The success rate of Love is Blind or any other reality dating show compared to meeting somebody probably a trillion other ways, not that great. And maybe you do want to go on for genuine reasons and to find love. But don't act like you don't want to come there for fame too. Just admit it. Everybody on that show from season 2 on wants to be famous. Season 1 didn't even know if it was going to go to air. But season 2 on knew exactly what they were signing up for, know that there's an opportunity. And why is she hating so much? And why did Marissa come so hard for Nick, who still has a job, still does real estate? Hannah now lives in LA and has an agent. So who wants to be famous, really? How can the pot calling the kettle black?
that whole thing is, but I don't see Nick being that popular, like after the show. Do you think?
Well, especially the way they treated him at the reunion, he's definitely not going to be on Perfect Match. I think they were setting Hannah up so likable because she is going to be on another show, whether it be Perfect Match or whatever other shows they're coming out with next. Ex on the beach, who knows? But it was so difficult. And then I thought Marissa was so out of pocket, doesn't go hard on her ex, on Ramses, but comes after Nick with all the anger and aggression that she should have put on Ramses. What was that about?
Yeah, I thought that was a little crazy. I feel like some of that was staged, though. I don't.
You think?
Yeah, I think they made her do that, to be honest with you, just to get
Okay.
some interest into the reunion because it was going downhill fast.
Well, Clay from season 6 did come out and say that this is a lot of the cast realize that this is their last opportunity to get camera time. And so they go bigger than they need to. And I could see that being the case with quite a few of the cast this season because you could see who got more airtime and whose story got more focus and who inserted themselves into situations that did not involve them. And then you had poor Taylor and Garrett just sitting back trying to avoid all the drama and not take part.
Right. Well, they were steering clear of that so that it didn't affect their relationship because they had enough going on with the text situation that he got himself into.
Let's get back to that.
Yes, let's.
Whose side were you on in that little tiff?
Well, I was on Taylor's side, of course. I would.
Why, of course?
Well, because he shouldn't be texting with old girlfriends or whoever it was that he was texting
Even
with.
To shut it down and tell the person that he's engaged? If that's truly what the text is. We don't know. We haven't seen them, but that's what he said.
We don't know what those texts were about. And why did he lie about it from the beginning?
Yeah, that was odd to me.
Yeah.
I do think, like with Amy and Jonny last season, where they made this big deal out of birth control and it really wasn't a big deal, I think that Taylor and Garrett didn't have any drama. And so they had to kind of egg them on. There was a little bit of alcohol involved. And just to give them some sort of conflict, a little tiny question mark about if they were going to say I do. But I think it was really not staged, but amped up from what it was in reality to kind of give them any sort of conflict.
Yeah, probably. But so I wanted to say that from the beginning of the show, when I was into like maybe the 3rd or 4th episode, I made a little note here. Can't see it. And I said Ashley and Tyler were going to get married and Taylor and Garrett were going to get married. So my prediction
Very good
on this page
job.
were right. See that?
Good job.
It was a mother's intuition. It worked.
No spoilers? You didn't go peeking around the internet?
No spoilers. Because I told you I didn't want the spoilers.
Okay, moving on. Let's go to Brittany and Leo, our couple that we spent 5 episodes on in the pods and then did not follow post-show up until this reunion. I found them so much more likable than they were in the pods at the reunion. Seeing their social media posts, their Instagrams and TikToks, and kind of joking around and being best friends now. And then apparently Leo can rap. Who knew about that? Did you find them any more likable than they were initially?
Leo? Not really.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. There's some kind of a facade that he puts on besides the whole I have a lot of money thing. But Brittany, yes, I did find her more likable towards the end.
Okay, and do you think there's something brewing now between them?
No, I don't think he would be her type long term. She seems like she's a lot of fun. Like she would want to do a lot of things and get out there.
Fair enough. I thought that it was weird, the example she gave, why she learned that they weren't compatible. And I know little things add up, and I get what she was saying. But him wanting a sip of her drink really being the catalyst or the trigger for realizing they weren't compatible. It's like, oh, girl, I don't think you're going to be compatible with anybody. If such a little thing bothers you after a few days of vacation.
Well,
Do you think she's ready for marriage?
oh no. No, she seems like she likes to party a lot.
Okay.
I don't think he's
I
ready for
didn't get that
marriage
vibe from
either.
her, but who knows?
Thought he was a little strange, to be honest, but I don't think he's ready for marriage.
I think his comparison of the women to food was probably my favorite part of the night. Seeing Hannah and Brittany's expressions when he talked about pasta and steak. And the second that came out of his mouth, I wanted to crawl into a hole for him. I think
Well,
he thought that was going to be received way differently.
when they had the reveal with the two of them, clearly she
Brittany
was
and Leo.
like, "Oh God, help me! How do I get out of this quick?"
But she did say that he was the most comforting part of the reveal. She said that all the cameras and all the people around were way more awkward than actually being around Leo.
Right. But I think
You're not buying it?
no. I think that when she first saw him, it wasn't a physical attraction. We'll just say that to be nice.
Yeah, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Love is not blind. Not everybody has to find your partner attractive, but you have to find your partner attractive.
Right.
On to Monica and Steven. I know
Oh,
you've
gosh.
got thoughts on Steven, Mom.
I
Go
had
for
thoughts
it.
on
Let loose.
Steven from day one. I told you. I'm like, Steven's a player. He's not going to be a good guy for anybody on the show. I told you that. I was right. And
Well, in
you
all
had a different
fairness,
opinion of him, though.
I still like, and my opinion has always been I like Steven as a person. I think he's funny. I enjoy his posts on social media and that he can have a good sense of humor about the situation and all the hate that he's getting. Everybody, please stop DMing and commenting on these cast members' socials. It's weird when you're sending hate or death threats or attacks on people's pets. It's just really weird. It's not hitting the way you think it is. But I like a lot of these casts as people, and I didn't like them in their relationships. And that continues to be the case to this day. So this is another case of that. I'm not saying I would date Steven. I'm good with all the red flags. I've had enough red flags in my lifetime. I'm set. But I like him as a person.
I would have to
No.
I would have to have my ugly side come out with it.
No, Steven and I, nobody on this cast. I feel like they're big sister at this point. There's nobody on the Love is Blind cast that, I'm not sliding into anybody's DMs. If I am, it's to get a dog adopted. It's nothing personal, guys. I feel very protective over you, but I just boundaries.
Steven needs to stay single for a few more years before he's ready for marriage.
So setting it up with the first introduction ever we had of Steven being him talking to Monica about how he cheated, I was like, oh boy, he's going to be some type of villain this season, because you don't start the conversations with your favorite cast members with, oh yeah, by the way, I cheated and I shouldn't have done it. And then Monica apologizing to him. So that was a little weird, and definitely as they're editing this, they already know what's happened throughout the show. So of course they're going to allude to his cheating, and that's going to be a big moment between them. But I don't think they spent a lot of time, and maybe because Steven was just kind of shutting it down, saying nobody was going to believe him anyway, which is fair enough. Who would believe him? Especially he's talking about, oh, he wants to protect the woman's privacy. And then the next breath, he's talking about her specific medical conditions, and he doesn't want to share the texts because of her privacy. But how are we going to know who this woman is based on what text she sends? We're going to go through every single, actually, there probably are people who would go through every single follower on his Instagram, but that's neither here nor there. Nothing Steven said would have made the situation better. I think it was good. At least he took accountability. But again, a situation where Nick and Vanessa, as the hosts, could have laid into him and pressed him more, and they just flew right over it to come at Nick for some reason.
Yeah, they
Did you like Monica?
Yes, I did and I still do very much. I think she's really classy, sophisticated woman, and hopefully she'll find her her match.
Yeah. I
It's not
think they
Steven,
said
Monica. Definitely not Steven.
no. No, and she knows that. Her new man was in the audience. They didn't show him and they didn't mention it, but it came out on social media later. He was sitting with her family.
Oh, nice. Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So she seems to
she
be
has a
doing
lot to
well.
offer somebody, so she should definitely be happy.
And the podcast actually partnered with Lost Our Home, based in Tempe locally. It is a pet adoption agency that I actually used, not for adoption, but they also provide temporary homes for people in crisis situations. So when I first moved here, I had some issues and my pets went into foster care through Lost Our Home. I am very, very grateful. And so I am also appreciative of the opportunity to give back to them when I can. I partnered with them to name incoming adoptable dogs and cats after the Love is Blind cast. So Monica is the first one who had a puppy named after her who's available for adoption. I will post her on her social media. She's a German Shepherd mix, about 2 years old. She's such a cute dog. And that is our Monica of the season, Monica 2. So we'll have more Love is Blind litters coming out soon with all your favorite cast members from this season and prior seasons. They actually forgot to tell me they did a whole season 6 litter with all the guys. So Jeremy, Vince, Clay all had kittens named after them. And they forgot to send me the emails. So they all got adopted by now. So I hope they're all happy in their new homes. But it's a very exciting thing we're doing with Lost Our Home and are very appreciative that they are so willing to go out and step outside the box when naming their adoptable animals. And on to our final couple, Mom, Alex and Tim. Final thoughts on those two.
Well, wow. That was a complicated situation with the two of them. I thought they may have, had a chance to work out, but he has some drastic mood swings. Holy mackerel.
It's Jonny Fairplay, reality TV icon, Survivor Hall of Famer, and I'm talking today about Work Money. Work Money is a non-profit organization that focuses on lowering costs and raising incomes for all Americans to make American life more affordable and American families more economically secure. They provide products, services, perks, benefits, tips, and tools to help members improve their financial lives. It's time to level up and make more money in this economy. We're talking getting rich. Now, this sweepstakes is giving away $50,000. You can use this to pay your rent, your mortgage. Imagine what you can do with all the money that you'll save. Now, this is put on by Work Money, and this site has all these sick benefits, and it's free. Go sign up right now and get more rich. Now, listen, you can change your life. Now, what would you do if you didn't have to pay your rent or mortgage for a year? Listen, sign up right now for free. A link is available right here in the show notes. Check them out. Personally, I'd get more pinball machines. I'm Jonny Fairplay. I wouldn't lie about that. It's Work Money. More money.
And our last couple of the evening, Alex and Tim. Mom, what did you think of those two?
Well, I did like Alex, still like Alex very much. Tim, I thought his mood swings were kind of drastic. They go from I'm madly in love with you and professing his love in a letter to her dad, which of course made us all sentimental and want to cry. It was something I wish I could have written to me someday. But
Sorry,
then,
Mom.
then going then going totally the other way of I'm breaking up with you because you took a nap. What? What is happening?
Oh my God. Imagine if I dated Tim, Mom. He would have broken up with me 500 times a day.
True. This is true. But I mean, I think there's a whole segment that we missed because there must have been something else that led up to that, that they cut out of the whole episode, because someone doesn't just break up with somebody because they were napping. She clearly stated that, she had a lot going on and I wasn't aware that they go to work when they're in those
Oh, yeah.
apartments. So she had to go to work, and she was working a night shift, and then he's claiming she was out after work. Who knows? Nobody knows the truth. But regardless, that's a pretty drastic emotional swing from a man being in love with you to I'm breaking up with you and never want to see you again. I don't get it. Um, she's set in her ways, but a lot of people are, and I'm sure he's did get to see that along the way.
Yeah, I wrote down they're both way too independent for each other. And I think even though he said that their fight in Mexico wasn't a catalyst for like the change in his demeanor and his changing his mind, I think you see him looking very downtrodden after their fight when she's apologizing to him and they explain about this fight and she calls him a bitch and he did not like that and she said she didn't put her hand over his mouth. He says she did. I think that was, if you're going to break up over anything, that would be understandable. But I think everything else just continued. The dominoes continued to fall. Her being a mess at her place. Netflix is coming over to see your place. You've seen 6 other seasons of this show before. It's not a surprise that they're coming. They tell you that they're coming if you get engaged. Hire a maid. Make a phone call to your friends real quick. Ask them to do one, take one for the team. You're going to say because you were in a rush packing? I have been in a rush packing before. I have packed hours before I left for a trip, and I would never, ever. It looked like a bomb went off in her house. So you have that, and then whatever went on with Mexico. And I think it's understandable if you do have to work a long shift and you've already been filming for hours and you've spent a lot of time with the family. Yeah, go take a nap. No big deal. I don't think that was the real reason for him wanting to end things. I think everything was just kind of falling into place that they were not compatible and that they never should have gotten together in the first place.
No,
It seems
and
like,
I will say to the producers during the reunion, the fighting just went on way too long. I think you lost a lot of viewers because of that. It was just so agitating and boring. You need to cut it short. They could have focused on another couple or did something else.
yeah. I absolutely agree. There were 3 takeaways I had from the reunion. One was hold the right people accountable. You're going way too hard on somebody for something innocent like Nick, and maybe he didn't have the best of intentions. Okay, not the first one to pull that card. Out of 30 cast members, probably 25 of them were going on to be famous, and then maybe find love. Great, as a secondary benefit. Another one was better vetting of the cast. The executive producer, Chris Colin, had come out and said, we're not the police. We do extensive background checks, but it's not our job to look at every social media post and do these deep dives on the cast. That's obviously not a verbatim quote. It kind of is their job because look at the fallout of what's happening now. Everybody has said, for the most part, this is the worst season yet. They are not listening to fan feedback. And the fans were able to find these things in seconds. So you're telling me they have a whole casting team and a whole production team? They can't do a little browse through Tyler's social media and see that there's kids on there? Come on. That's just an excuse. And then I forgot what the other one was, but I posted it on their website. Or their Instagram. Man, I'm old and tired. So
I also thought that the way they were jumping around, it was hard to follow. And like towards the end, when the girls were in the bridal shop getting their picking out their gowns, that all of a sudden Hannah wasn't there. And we're like, well, where's Hannah? And they had a brief conversation, but you really didn't know. There was no clear reason until afterwards you see them having the conversation, her having the conversation with Nick. You should have had that prior to, so you could follow it. It was just,
it really seemed like a theme for this season was leaving out context. I've said so many times, I'm like, I don't watch reality TV to solve a puzzle or solve a crime. Spell out exactly what's happening for me. I don't do this to keep my brain, I do this to turn my brain off, not to be CSI, Olivia Benson. I want the least amount of effort possible and the most entertainment possible. So if I have to piece together the puzzle of why Monica and Steven aren't together or why Hannah is not at the dress shop, I am already sleeping. I am an Alex, and I don't care who knows it. They got to do better about that. And prior seasons haven't had that issue. And I know a lot of the fights happen off camera because that's when the couples take the opportunity to fight. Put cameras in the apartments. Figure something out. I didn't understand what was going on half the season. I had to go to social media to figure it out.
True. And then I was asking you because I was confused. And that's not what the show is about.
No. I'm like, why is this? Did M. Night Shyamalan write this season? What is happening?
I'm almost dreading the next season. I know it's filmed already. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to watch it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 cast members that they put in the audience, right?
Yes.
And for those who are like, oh my God, that totally ruins the experiment. It's already wrapped and done, okay? It's filmed. They didn't know what each other looked like until later. They've all met by now. It's not like some big spoiler. Right. These 2 guys look like they still go to frat parties. They look like they're 20 years old. What is going on? Like, nobody's ready for marriage anymore.
The bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, what is the dating scene like in Minneapolis? Because they really must have had to import from whatever college is there.
Netflix, come to Scottsdale. I think you'd have some interesting candidates in this area.
Oh my God. At least it would be... It would be terrible here. It would be like another LA with people just all out for fame. But at this point, I don't think that really matters. I'm surprised they haven't done a Phoenix season because there is a diverse population. But Phoenix was also voted the 2nd worst city in America for dating. So
there we go.
Congrats to us. And it shows. Let me tell you guys, it shows. I've been out there. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm happy with my dogs and my cat in my house and my Netflix, except for this show this season. But I'll come back because I always do. So maybe February you'll be back too, Mom. We'll just have to see. Any parting words about this reunion?
I could just say I think they should go back to the earlier times when it was more cohesive to watch and easier to follow. Because it was more enjoyable. Yeah. It wasn't really enjoyable this time. It was like, okay, I'm going to finish watching it so I could do the LovePod with you. But I really didn't enjoy it.
Especially making us wait a week between the last episodes and then the one wedding episode and then the reunion. That wedding episode could have just been an email. I mean, it was such a waste of a week. Mm-hmm. Throw it on the tail end of that other set of episodes and then give us the reunion. Yeah, Taylor and Ashley look pretty and the guys look great in their tuxes, blah, 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 blah. And then we have the first 10 minutes were the only interesting part when Marissa and Ramses broke up. And then the rest of it was like, I'm going to do my nails while I watch this.
Yeah. Well, I am very happy for Monica and Marissa that they've met someone that they really connected with. So congrats to them.
Yes. Congratulations to the whole cast. And thank you for letting us follow your journey, no matter how much of a train wreck it is. We will see you guys for next season. And in the meantime, please be on the lookout for our segment Volunteer With Me. We have a couple of cast members coming up. The main ones that I can announce right now being Taylor, and then Steven may be helping out with some animal rescue too. We'll just have to see. So thanks you guys for tuning in. Please, 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 if you like the show, hit that subscribe button. Give us a rating on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen or watch the show. We love you, and we will see you next time.